Okay, hello, good morning. Oh, I was a little bit quick on. Suddenly it was time for the stream. Let's see here. Good morning. Oh, I need some coffee. Okay, so I did something cool yesterday. I had like a realization. And this actually, I might make this like a tiny npm package, this state machine API, because what I did is, let's refactor so that we can actually use the new thing. Let's see. Oh shit, I'm confused. Run editor. Here we are. Cool. Okay, so let's use the new thing. So first of all, let's build it. Git pull. Made some changes to the state machine API. I'm calling it event, and then OnEvent instead. And the reason is for you to more easily get into thinking about this the right way. So you kind of say an event is something that happened. So something was clicked, or you got some response or whatever, like something happened. And that's what you tell the machine, like this happened. And then it's up to the machine to match that event to its current state. And that produces a new context. So you have three different terms here. You have event, context, and state. So the event is basically just something that happens outside of the machine, which is passed into the machine. And then the machine has a certain state. And that state would be like idle, pending, and resolved, for example. Those are like labels for the different state. But each state has a context around them. They don't only have that single state, they also have some values related to them. And that is what the context is. So the state is the label for the context. That's how you think about it. And this helped me reason more like about it as well, just getting the terms right. But anyways, I also added this transition method, which is really, really cool. Oh, this is wrong. I should be getting some errors here. Yes. So this should be T event and this is T context, and we create the context first and then we create the event. So this should be T context, T event. So these are our contexts. These are the contexts that the machine can be in. And that's what I talk about when I talk about asynchronous code. I talk about how you're in one context, you start and await for some asynchronous stuff, and after that await, you don't know if you're in the same context. The context might have changed, right? And then we have the events. So we pass that into the machine. We still have a context here, but this should be T event. This should be on event. This should be event. And now you're going to see something pretty cool. So what we can do here, we can actually make things more declarative, which makes it more readable. So having access to this OnEvent method, I think is a good thing, because it allows you to do whatever low-level stuff guarding you need to do. But mostly you would be able to do this. You say this context, transition this context with this event. And when we have pending, deal with these events. When you are an error, deal with these events. And when we are ready, you can deal with these events. So what we're saying here is that when we are in this state and we receive, for example, sandbox loaded, that's a valid event for that state. If we are in pending and we receive any other event now, it won't be dealt with at all. because we don't care about it. It's not a valid event for this state. But sandbox loaded is. And what happens now is that we actually get typing here. So now we get the properties of the event as the first argument. And then we actually have the pending context as the second argument. So let's, so here we rather looked at the event and then we check the different states. Well, here we say in these states, handle these events. That makes more sense. And we don't have to check. We can just take this thing, do this thing, and then we're using the sandbox here. Let's see. What should we call this? Oh, yeah, maybe we should call this sandbox DTO instead. Let's do that. Sandbox. Sorry. Sandbox DTO. Then we have to change down here. Sandbox DTO. Cool. Where were we? So now you can see that thing, and then on error. So if we are pending and we get an error, yeah, so we also deal with sandbox error here. And we can actually just do this short thing like that. And then we get an actual error there. And we can do this. Cool. So this is way more declarative. And I could have split this into separate methods. So I could actually have like methods called sandbox loaded, sandbox error, for example, if I wanted to do that. But for me, it's I think it's better to just have it inline like this. I could also like remove this one and create it in the constructor if I wanted to do that. But I think this is more readable. But yeah, really nice coloring here as well. You see this one's white and this one's green. Anyways, so this is pretty nice. Let's refactor the other one as well. And we're actually, like this state machine, we are actually using this. We're doing some new implementations in Codesandbox, which is actually service related. It's not the client. And we're using this state machine concept for that. And it really helps. Let me show you. This is kind of hidden stuff, but I just want to show you something. So this is a host I'm working on, and as you can see, it's using the same thing. So we have OnEvent, we have a host event and a host context, and then we just say transition this context with this event. When we're idle, we deal with the initialize requested event, and you can see what it does here. And when we're initialized, it deals with the client connected event, the client disconnected event, the message received event, and token update event. Yeah, and the hidden gem of this is that the previous implementation had the picture process handler, the WebSocket server. It had that as properties, and we would have to do the exclamation token because they weren't there initially. They are only there when you're actually initialized. So we had the exclamation token, and then we would risk having bugs related to that. So, but now we actually, whenever we deal with a specific context, so initialized an event, and we deal with it in the context of initialized, which means that everything's typed correctly. We know that everything's there. And yeah, this is how it should be. Okay, cool. I think we have another state machine, don't we? We have, what's this, editor? Yes. We also have navigator. This is T event. Let's do the same here. Let's put the context first. T context, T event. t-event, event on event, and let's return this transition, this context with this event. And this should be on editor. Well, I can do home first. So when I need some more coffee. Yes, I guess this one's interesting. Yeah, because here we don't. Yeah, this is very interesting. Because in this case, we don't really want to use this transition. And the reason being that it doesn't really matter which one of these states you're in. We want to handle all the events on all of them, right? It doesn't matter if you're on home, you should be able to move to any other page. And on editor, you should be able to move to any other page. And in this case, we would have to duplicate all of this. I guess we could do some trickery here, I guess, to deal with it. But yeah, so this is a good example. Like the declarative way worked really well for the other thing, but here it doesn't really work that well. Here it's just better to say that whenever we get this event, this is the state we want to move into. Yeah. So you can choose how you want to deal with the messages, the events. Sorry, I'm stuck in messages. And you could even do if logic here. You do what makes sense for how the machine operates. We also have auth. I guess that's the last one. So we have t-event. So this probably fits really well with the transition method again. T-event. T-event. Cool. Where are we? On event. T-event. There's been some refactoring here. Yeah, this is a good one. So let's return this transition, this context event. Oh, sounds like Oscar, our brand new baby, is awake. It's a perfect sound to wake up to in the morning, right? Let's see, sign, if we are unauthenticated, if we are authenticating, if we are authenticated. Okay, so what we're saying here is that if we're unauthenticated, we are going to deal with the sign in requested event, and we're going to do this thing. Yeah. And you might say, like, maybe we talked about this before, but you're doing a side effect here inside this pure transition. Yeah, I am, and I don't care. The point is that if you have, like, I don't dislike the, again, comparing to XState being the prominent library here, I'm not disliking how declarative and decoupled everything is. It truly has some benefits, but there are certain things that aren't ideal. Like it locks you into a lot of different properties to do different things that you rather can do manually by just coding it. Also, if I were to actually have an event that would add an item to a list, it doesn't change the state, it just adds an item to a list. You would have to return the same state again, and then you would have to, like, list is now this, well, let's imagine we had the list as an argument, concat new item. Like, you have to do this stuff every time you, and then you will probably have like an automatic transition inside your machine every time you add an item. And for me, that doesn't make any sense. It's better to just, okay, in this case, we don't return a new state. We just say this context list push new item. And it's the same for the side effects. You just do them because you are in a safe context. Like this is where we want to run the side effect, and you just do that, and it's perfectly okay to do mutations in that context. Okay, cool. So that's what we're securing the context. We're not dealing with the whole immutable, mutable thing. That's my point. Okay, so when we are authenticating, we are dealing with the signed in event, which just returns a new context. So let's do that. Oh, this looks so beautiful. I'm so happy about this. Current user, and it's all typed nicely together. It's awesome. And we might also, yeah, so this one's interesting. So if we're authenticated or we are authenticating, we might be unauthenticated. Let's see. Let's see how we'll do this. We might be signed out. And it might have an error. And it's the same for authenticating. So in this case, we actually duplicated it. Let's talk about that in a moment. If we are authenticated, sign out requested. We're going to deal with that as well. Cool. Let's remove all of this. Okay, this looks so much better. Okay, so what we could have done here, we could have like created like a variable signed out, and then we could have written this, and then we could attach it to the different things. Maybe we should try that, because this is where I currently haven't typed it. Because here we would have to manually type it, and I don't really have let's see. So it would have to be t-event, not t-event, but it would be like pick event, and then you would have the event, and then you would do like signed out, right? So that will be the event coming in, and then we would have pick context, t context, authenticating, right? This is for us to create a matching signature. That's the point. Yes, and it would have to look like this. And for me, it's better to just duplicate this. But let's type this, because this is needed. Because what you can do, you can use this later as well. I'll show you how we can use this. Yeah, let's play around with this a little bit. Are you anyone following along? Yeah, someone's following along. Let's see. Pick event and pick context. Let's implement those. Yeah, reactive app. Let's see. Yeah, so we're going to implement that. We're going to put it here, and then I'm going to put this as a method instead, and then we'll see how we use it. Well, we basically use it the same way. Anyways, pick event and pick export. Okay, export type t base event equals this t base event, export type t-base context equals this thing, t-base context. Let's put it in the right order. And then we're going to say export type pick context. And I'm using pick because that's a term that's already, like, you already have a pick type. So it's just specific to context, like natively, well, in TypeScript itself. Okay, so here we need t-base context, and then this thing needs to the actual state, let's call it S, needs to extend t state. So what we're saying here is that, okay, the first type argument needs to be of a base needs to be a context, and then the next type argument needs to be one of the states of that context. Okay, and then what we get back is something, a little trick I've learned, which we can do t extends. This is maybe, like, this has become quite natural for me now, but it's quite mind-bending. So we can say t extends state s, and if it does that, then we just return t or never. Like, the never here will never happen. But doing this, basically what we're saying is that if t actually is the state we have passed in here, then t will type itself to that. That's what we return. We just return t, but we already said, like, if it actually extends this state, and then t becomes that type. I don't know if that made sense, but it's some of the mind-bending stuff of TypeScript. We'll do the same here, t-base event, and then now yeah, let's call this, let's see, c instead. C extends blah blah blah, and then we'll call this e for event, and then t extends e type. Oh my god, everything feels so right about this API for some reason. I like it a lot. E never. Okay, cool. So let's build this, and then we're going to, yeah, and I'm going to copy this. Let's see, I can copy the whole thing almost. Let's see, I'll do, yes, let me do this. We're going to put this into our project I'm working on. Something like that. Yes, cool. Now we have it there as well. Yeah, maybe we should try it first. Let's see. So we're going to, wow. Can't I import it directly from, that's a horrible import. Let's see. Oh. Let's see, aren't we? Oh, I'm only exporting state machine. Okay, so let's export peak event and peak context as well. Oh, peak context. Okay, let's try this. There we go. Let's see how this works. So we're going to do this, and I guess we don't really have to, well, we should pick the context. Yeah, this is interesting. We're not really using it, but we should type it because it needs to be at a specific, let's see, just let us finish this one. Okay, so this is like signed out. Oh, didn't it work? Let's make it work. What does it complain about? Oh yeah, so this is interesting. It can be that one or authenticated. What is it complaining about? What's not matching here? The type string. Type string is not assignable to type. Yeah, I'm wondering about that. It seems that when you do this pick thing, it's not really able to. Should declare sign-in requested. Okay, we're going to dive a little bit into this because I've been wondering about this. It's really confusing sometimes that you are typing things just as strings, but then they become actual types. So in some contexts in TypeScript, it looks at it as a string. It's not able to kind of infer it to be one of these. So here you can see it actually deals with this correctly. Does it do this correctly? Let's see. Event. Yep, that one's correct. I do wonder. Type. Oh my god. I hate this pop-up. That it's gone when you over scroll it. It's really annoying. Okay, God damn it. What the hell? Type is not designed to type void. Type state string error string is not assignable to type void. Oh yeah. Oh, do I have to? Yeah, I wonder why this typing doesn't work. This should work. Oh, okay, I'm about to snap. The expected type control property signed out, which is declared here on type. Are you kidding me? What am I doing wrong? Type state string is not assignable to type state unauthenticated. Okay, so it says that state is a string and error is a string. It's not assignable state unauthenticated error. So it seems that the return type here, maybe it's the return type. So if I say, wow, this is interesting. Okay, let's just try this. Pick context unauthenticated. Ah, interesting. It wasn't able to infer that this return type actually matched. Okay. That's interesting. So this is a lot of typing. Like what you lose here is the inference, right? So what would happen if we actually wrote this as a method? private, what should we call it? Should we call it signed out? Well, on signed out, that will be the most proper way to deal with it. And then we do the typing again. So we would say this is pick context, t context. This is what we're going to return. So let's just do that. And then we have pick event. Well, I can say error. It's kind of verbose, isn't it? And the reason I type the last one here is because it should only work. Like this method should only be called in the context where you're dealing with the signed out event and you're either authenticating or you're authenticated, right? If I didn't have that, you would be able to put the signed out in unauthenticated. So let's try that. Okay, so this is like, it looks like shit. It's hard to kind of grasp the whole thing. So I think it's better to have it inline, to have it inferred. And later you might want to do something additional when you're authenticating and you're signed out. Anyways, so let me just show you my point here. So if I don't have this piece of code, I should be able to put this here as well. I thought. Why aren't I allowed to do that? Signed out. Current user. Okay, now I'm confused again. Or maybe this is like TypeScript sometimes gives really shitty error messages. So, okay, so now I have it there. But why does these work? Like none of them should really work now. Huh, now I'm super confused. Why does it still work on these two? Or maybe it doesn't if I remove this. No, why the hell? What? Now I'm super confused. What did I actually... OMG. Oh my god. Property is missing in type and authenticated. Required in state authenticated. Why aren't you working there? I don't understand. What? It shouldn't matter if it's here or here or here. I don't understand. Oh, I see. Is this the reason? Because I'm returning unauthenticated from unauthenticated? That shouldn't matter. Oh, it does matter. Why? I should be allowed to do that. Oh, I guess this is I found a bug. Types of property state are incompatible. Well, I guess it doesn't really, like the way you keep the same state is that you don't return anything. So it kind of, okay, but now I know why it's a problem. Okay, so let's just not return anything here. Sorry, and I'll just to make my point there. There we go, and then we don't return anything. What? It still doesn't? Huh? Type of parameter. Wait a minute, is it just messing with me? No. Property current user. For fuck's sake, this, I hope, what the hell is this? Types of parameters, underscore and context are incompatible. What underscore? I don't have any underscore anywhere. Why does it say that? Oh, fudge. Oh my god. So sorry. Oh, I can't believe this. Unsigned out. Oh my god, this is bad. This maybe this was working all the maybe this was actually working all the time. Okay, and now we're saying this should be a pick context. I wonder if it's able to infer it from a method though. That would be interesting. No, right? You don't, like, of course it's not able to type this. It doesn't know what it's supposed to do here. So it has to be t context and authenticated. Authenticated error. Okay, let's do this again. Yeah, and this is interesting. This doesn't actually work. Oh, I'm going to the dentist on Monday. God damn it. Sorry that we got stuck in typing hell, but I spend a lot of time on this stuff. Because I think the typing is really, really part of the API. And but I wonder why these two OMG. I hope they fix this in the next version. Is it because I scroll twice? Or is it because I bump into the others? Can I like hold a key or something to avoid this? No. It's the most annoying thing I've ever seen. So what I would expect here, I'm saying that I require this context to be authenticating or authenticated. But here we are unauthenticated, which means that these two signatures doesn't actually match. So what if I would do this event context? Yeah, here it says the context doesn't match. Is it because I'm doing that thing? If I do unsigned out. Is it because I bind it? Oh my god, it's because I'm binding it. Thank you, TypeScript. Okay, so this is kind of silly because I can't do this because then we lose the, well, I can, but we lose the context of the class, so I can't point to this. But if I bind it, then I lose the typing, which is crazy. Oh my god. Yeah, that's just crazy. Okay, but this is it's nice to kind of explore this. So let's so that was not like a good idea to move it into a method because you can't really safely type that. So it is working. Because if I were to say unauthenticated there, then it works again. Yeah, so this works as expected. But the typing, like when we write it out like this, it looks like shit. So I guess, yeah, you would kind of have to. Well, yeah, maybe pick event and pick context isn't the best way to deal with it. Because what you could rather do, you could create a type for each of these. So we could say like, we could say sign in requested event, sign out requested event, and then you would compose them together here. And then you could use them individually. But that's a lot of typing. It's much easier to do it like this, but then you get these nasty signatures. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to, so the conclusion is we're going to do this. Let's see. This is what we're going to do. Cool. Anyways, this looks good. Oh, okay. Let's spend a tiny bit more time here and do what we were supposed to do, which was, so anyways, I'm really happy about this API. I think it's, as I said, OnEvent gives this low level access to dealing with events coming into the machine, where you return a new context. And then you have this transition method, which is typically what you do to get this declarative description. So what you would do when you look at a class that is a state machine is that you go down to the transition, and then you'll get a really good insight into what does this thing actually do. It would be nice to better be able to split up to split these things up. So we could allow you like to make it completely declarative. We could allow you, it's possible to grab the methods of the, well, no, it's not really. So a tricky thing with TypeScript is that, so what if we could just give it a string, which would be the onSign-in requested. That could be typed. So you would just give it like, okay, call this method, which is here. Then it becomes almost like xstate, right? The problem is that if you want to go and grab the properties or the methods of a class, like as a type, anything that's private won't appear there. So you wouldn't be able to name any private methods, which is actually what you want to do. What we could do though, hey, this is interesting. This is interesting. So we could say on on, oh yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So we could say this is kind of interesting. Return. Okay, let's try something here. So I can say this onSign-in requested. This is kind of cool. Yes, this is, so I can do this. And what does this want? This wants to pick context, tContext, authenticating. Okay, so we'll return this. Oh, I think I have something here. Oops, return. Oh, sorry, this is an async thing. Oh, sorry. I'm calling it, sorry. We'll have to rename this. So this shouldn't be like onSign-in requested. This should be sign in. Well, it should be the private sign in or authenticate or something. Well, it is, yeah, how should we name this? So this is the public method that you use as a convenience instead of sending a message into the machine. And then you have the private thing. Okay, let's just name it the same as, how should we do this? Yeah, because this is a side effect. So, okay, anyways, let's just name it this for now. And then this is going to do this. On sign in requested, that's perfectly fine. And then we're going to just say this dot sign in requested. And this doesn't work because we have to pick the context we want to return. Authenticating. And now the magic. Like this doesn't work right now because this is not bound to the class instance, but we know that any function we attach to this thing should be bound to the class. So if we go back to our little state machine thing here, and when we actually call the thing, this OnEvent, this is transition, sorry. So when we actually call this thing, we can say call this. So we force it to be in the context of the class instance. So it doesn't matter. That's really nice. So now we're starting to kind of get somewhere with this thing. So you are able to actually split. Let's just try this for fun's sake. So how would signed in look like? And maybe it's a little bit overkill to split everything up, but let's just see how it looks like. So signed in, we want to return. It's kind of annoying that it's not able to authenticated. Return state authenticated. And then we would have to current user, we would say pick event, t event, this is signed in. Well, it's, I don't know, current user. It's still quite verbose. Oh, sorry. Isn't it? It's quite verbose, and it's only to kind of clean up this thing. But you could say signed in. Why doesn't it find? There it is. So this works, right? So if I were to like change any typing here, it would actually, yeah. So this works, but I think this is more something that you would do if you have a pretty large thing that's going to happen. In this case, it's very straightforward. So this is like, okay, so I guess here in this project, you see that, where is it? Yeah, so for example, client connected, this is pretty large, right? So it would actually make sense to create a private method for that, to separate it from this declarative. It breaks the declarativeness. We want this to be as declarative as possible. This is super declarative, so we can just keep that. But here we start to see that it's not very declarative. And you could argue maybe this one and maybe this one as well. So you kind of have the possibility to split it up, but let's, so I don't forget, transition, call this. Okay, but this is cool. And I think we actually have to stop now. I really wanted to dive into, oh yeah, I really wanted to, oh, come on. Oh. Oops. Oops. Current user. I really wanted to look more into the sandbox, but anyways, this sign in This is also, we don't need this. Cool. Yes, cool. Let's yeah, so this was just a session looking into some crazy typing and exploring how we can split up the transition API. And I'm happy about it. Like, you want to have, we tend to think about finding this silver bullet in APIs. Like, this API is going to work for everything. But I think often, and sometimes that works because you have such a small specter of what you want to do. But here the specter is so big. So having, like, first of all, you have the pure OnEvent thing. You can do whatever you want. You can check the context, you can check the event, you can write whatever logic you want that makes sense for that machine. And then you have the convenience of the transition method, which gives you this kind of thing. And then you have the convenience of splitting these by pointing into methods on the instance itself, and it will automatically call those methods in the context of the class instance. Yes. So you have these levels of convenience, which I think makes a ton of sense looking at all we went through here. So we have, like, we're using the transition API, but on Navigator, it doesn't make any sense because it doesn't matter. Like, all events can work in any state. So it makes much more sense to do this. And then we had the other project we looked at where we had pretty large dealings of events where we could use a pointer method instead. Yes, good. I'm happy. I hope you are too. And tomorrow we're definitely going to dive into the sandbox and flesh that out more. Okay, cool. Bye for now.